Hello, I'm Dr. Mike. Ticks can be found throughout the United States. It is important to understand that not all ticks are the same. There are actually hundreds of species of ticks. Many people are aware that Lyme disease is transmitted by a tick. However, this is only one of many diseases that can infect wild animals, as well as dogs, cats, and people. To learn more about ticks, we're going to visit with Dr. Michael Dryden, a professor of veterinary parasitology.
One of the things we've really got to be concerned about today is that we've seen a very significant increase in expansion of tick populations in North America. And one of the things this does for us is it changes the way we look at parasite control on our pets. And in fact, I often talk about what I call the foundational parasite. That is, what is the most important parasite to you in your area that you first and foremost have to protect your pets from. And what we're finding is in many places today where it used to be fleas, or it used to be heartworm, or it used to be hookworms, today it's actually ticks. And not only the ticks, but we got to remember the diseases that they transmit, which are so important to us and potentially even life-threatening to our dogs and our cats. It's been very well documented that we have seen over the last 15 to 20 years a fairly large expansion of the ranges of many of these ticks, and also the density of many of these ticks. And there's a lot of reasons for this: increase in wildlife populations, natural climatic fluctuations. In addition, we have people who've moved and are living now in areas where these ticks exist. But there's a lot of reasons that we're seeing the spread and expansion of tick population in the United States. The best way to protect your dog or your cat is if it's going outside and spending any time outside here in the United States. The best protection we have today is applying to that animal a veterinary recommended tick product. One of the questions that pet owners often want to know is how are these products actually killing these ticks? Well, the modern tick products we have today are really neurotoxins that are specifically designed to attack the nervous system of the tick. And these products affect the tick, and they really don't affect our dogs and cats. So you got to be very careful. Some of these products can be used on both dogs and cats, and some of these products cannot, because a dog-specific tick product applied to a cat could cause that cat problems because of some of the compounds that are in that product. So again, you've got to talk to your veterinarian and make sure you apply the correct product to that cat, which is also one of the problems we have with a lot of the over-the-counter types of products, because many of those are very, very dog-specific, and they can be highly lethal to cats because they can be so potently toxic to the cats. One of the things that often surprises a lot of pet owners, and even veterinarians for that matter, is that ticks are only feeding for several days on that dog or that cat, or any host for that matter. In fact, a tick feeding for 10 days or longer is pretty uncommon. So if your dog has got ticks today, and you remove those ticks or kill them with some kind of a tick product, and a couple weeks later there's more ticks on your dog, those are new ticks. They're not the same ticks, which is a lot different than a flea. I mean, a flea can be running around on a dog or cat for over 100 days, in all honesty. But a tick, a week, 10 days, that's about it. And it surprises people that they'll see ticks today, and then a couple weeks later they'll see more ticks, and a couple weeks after that more ticks, and they don't realize that this dog or this cat is going someplace and encountering more ticks. So if you're seeing that with your pet, sometimes part of the solution can be your dog or cat can't be going where it's been going, and you may have to limit their activity during certain types of the year where these ticks are most common, most numerous, which in most parts of the United States is going to be somewhere between March to early June is when most of the tick activity is going to be occurring. In many areas in the United States, in urban settings, whether it's a major city, whether it's Houston or Miami or Tampa or Los Angeles, some major urban setting, the most common tick we find on a lot of our dogs are actually what's called the brown dog tick, which is Rhipicephalus sanguineus. Now, this tick is a little bit different than a lot of the other ticks that we have out there in the fact that this tick in all life stages, whether it's the larval stage, the nymphal stage, or the adult stage, prefers to feed upon dogs. And this is a tick because it'll feed upon dogs and actually can survive in many situations where other ticks cannot. In fact, it's the only tick in the United States that will actually infest homes. And it can be very, very difficult to get these ticks out of a house when this happens. So for those of the people out there who live in these major urban areas and are seeing ticks on dogs, particularly in the southern part of the United States, that's often the brown dog tick. And you got to be very, very careful because you do not want one of these female ticks falling off your dog and laying 4,000 to 6,000 eggs in your house. So you've got to prevent that from happening. So you've got to put your dog on a veterinary recommended tick product.
When it comes to dealing with ticks, prevention is so important. A product that I use in my hospital for ticks and fleas is Frontline Plus. I like that it can be used on both dogs and cats. Remember, not all tick products are the same. I do not recommend using over-the-counter products. It is very important that you ask your veterinarian what product they recommend specifically for your pet. I hope that this video has been helpful, and thanks for watching.